Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to use our yoga blanket or a really big towel for our yoga prop today. So, take your blanket or a towel, and usually it's kind of in that square position, and then make it into a nice roll. I tend to roll it, into thirds so that it's in a little burrito type, and then place it on your yoga mat just part way down. We are going to start on our backs, but I wanted to tell you about just a little cool little thing that I don't take time to talk about alternate props, but this is just a half of a pool noodle, right? So that's all that is. And you can use something like this instead of a foam roller, instead of a blanket. It's really kind of a cool all purpose thing. And maybe I'll do like a little 20-minute recording with this silly little prop. But I just wanted to let you know that you can go to the dollar store and buy a pool noodle and use it for all kinds of things. All right, so with that, you're going to lay on your blanket so that the blanket sits right at your shoulder blades. I think everybody watching today live is going to be fine with this, but you may want to consider a blanket or a towel or a pillow under your head if this blanket roll feels like way too much, right? Because what are we moving here? What are we moving in space is the thoracic spine. And so, especially if your thoracic spine tends to be a bit rounded, this cannot feel as good as it would to other people. And if that's the case, maybe put a little something under your head so that the curve of your upper back of your thoracic spine isn't nearly as big. The other alternative, of course, is to just lessen the blanket, so not quite such a big roll, but enough that it does create some expansion through your chest. Once you've done that, your knees can be bent or your legs straight. I would really encourage you to lengthen your lower back. So maybe pick your hips up off the floor and really draw the tailbone down. And then set the hips back and maybe you relax. Your arms should be above your blanket so that your arms are completely free. Your armpits are free. You can put the arms out to the sides or cactus pose or even a little bit overhead. And with that, find your comfortable place. Close your eyes. And take some really nice deep breaths, just really nice deep breaths. And feel how the blanket expands the chest, expands the ribs as you take those nice deep breaths in and let them go. Good. Just keep that up. Just breathe. Start to tap into your inner energy, your center. And see if you can, with each exhale, release any unnecessary tension so that the space behind the eyes starts to soften and the jaw relaxes, the tongue softens, the throat, the chest, right? The hips, the legs, everything just relaxes in this position as we breathe in and out. And you may feel some sensation in your upper back, your thoracic area. And sensation is okay as long as there's no pain. So just notice. Breathe in through your nose. And maybe breathe out through your mouth. Good. And again, breathe in. And exhale out through your mouth. Good. Last one. Deep breath in. And exhale. And then if it's all right for your shoulders, take your arms overhead and stretch the legs long. We're going to release this upper back in a minute. So just stretch it out and maybe reach your left foot, your left hand away from each other. And reach your right side, reach. Good, one more left. Reaching your right foot away from your left fingers or your left foot, well, left fingers, you know what I mean. And right foot, right fingers, stretch them out. Release your arms and take them behind your head in a very soft inner lace. Bend your knees and let your feet come to the floor. I want you to lift up enough that you feel your front ribs. And even if one hand is at your ribs, you feel the front ribs draw in, kind of knit down into the center of your body so that your front lower ribs are no longer reaching up, right? They're drawn in and feel that. And then the head rests in the hands, the neck stays long, the elbows are out to the sides. I want you to just take a nice deep inhale as you lower your head to the floor. And as you exhale, bring that up, knit your ribs, maybe bring your knees to your elbows or close, even if you just draw them in. Good. As you exhale, see if you can sail the legs straight, drop the elbows back down to the floor. Exhale, squeeze in. And release, exhale. Good. Exhale as they come in. Inhale as you open. Now, if this is really too much too early, do one leg, right? Just one leg. We probably should have started there because that is a bit easier, a bit gentler. Good. Or both legs. Good. And breathe. Two more. Oh, yeah. Work in the spine. And exhale. And let it go. Oh, good. Roll over to your right side. I know that was really sneaky so early in the class, wasn't it? I want you to lay on your right side so that your blanket roll or your towel is right at the lower rib. So below what would be a bra strap or your chest, and lay down on that blanket roll. And feel that your head is fully supported either with a blanket or with your arm. And notice again, right? Try to stay at the side body. Again, you might have some sensation here. I've talked about keeping these ribs mobile before, and this is a great way to do that. So just kind of notice how this is feeling for you. Extend the top arm so that it's reaching over your ear and overhead. Keep your bottom knee bent, but straighten your top leg. So you're creating this long line from your left fingertips to your left toes, right? And just breathe. And then knit those ribs back in. So if you're arching through your back, just knit those in a little bit. And if the blanket doesn't feel good, by the way, shift it, right? It might need to come down an inch, might need to go up an inch, right? Just shift it. Breathe. Good. All right, here we go. From here, elbow to knee. So just bring in your top elbow, your top knee, and reach it out. Good. And squeeze in. Press it out. And three, squeeze it in on purpose. And when you extend out, really extend out. Good. Four. And reach. Five. Good. We're doing five more right here. Five. Reach out, extend. Four. And breathe. Feel side body. Three. Reach the toes, reach the fingers. Two. and one, and reach. Good. Release that top leg, release your top arm. Press all the way up to your elbow. So you're on your right elbow. Blanket is still underneath you. I want you to drop the ribs toward the blanket. If they don't touch, don't worry about it. And then reach the ribs away from the blanket. Good. Drop down and reach up. Good. Drop it down. Reach it up. Squeeze in and stretch out, right? Two more. Squeeze in and down. Last one. Squeeze in and down. Good. Lower back down. Turn right back onto your back. Find the spot that felt okay enough the first time. Take your hands behind your head. Lift up, knit the ribs in. Here we go. Round two, right? Make sure that you're not pulling on your head. Bring your elbows to your knees. And then one knee or both. Stretch out. Good. Reach in. Stretch it out. Make sure you're pressing those ribs down into the center of your body. 3, squeeze in, and 4. Good. Last one. Reach and exhale. Release your feet to the floor. Release your upper body to the floor. We're going to roll onto your other side. I'm just going to move my blanket so I don't have my back to the camera. Things I have to think about. Good. So find that blanket roll under the ribs on the left side. Easy peasy, right? No big deal. Your upper body is supported, your head is supported, your bottom knee is bent, the belly is toned in. Straighten your top leg and reach and straighten your top arm. Here we are again. And just breathe. Maybe just feel the stretch on this side, right? Good. When you're ready, elbow to knee, squeeze it in and reach it long. And 2. That's it. And 3. We got 10 of these total. 4. I want you to feel the squeeze in your side body. This is 5. And 6. Go slow. And 7. Squeeze your belly. 8. You got this. No problem. 9. And 10. Squeeze it in and then release it out. Good. Release your top arm. Release your top knee. Come up on your left elbow. Same thing again. I want you to drop your ribs toward the blanket. If it doesn't touch, don't worry about it. It's just something to kind of reach for, and then really squeeze them up. It's just in the ribs here. Good. And 2, squeeze purposefully. 3, squeeze them up. You got it. And 4, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good. Last one, squeeze it up. And release. Good. And then just press yourself all the way up to a seat. So with your lovely blanket, 2 choices. You're going to take the blanket roll or the towel and see if you can fold it in half yet again. So it's this big little square. And you're either going to sit on it, easy pose, right? You're just going to sit on that blanket and take the legs out. Those of you who cannot cross your knees or that, you just go straight with your knees bent. So you're sitting up, or take the knees behind or the feet behind and come into this variation of hero pose. If this hurts, please don't do it. Please, please, please. Go ahead. And then sit up nice and tall. The blanket is just there supporting you. Your inner ankles are drawing towards center if you're sitting this way. Otherwise, you're cross-legged. Your spine is nice and long. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, right hand down. Left arm over. Stretch it out to your level. Inhale, center. Exhale, left hand down, right arm. Yeah, inhale up. Exhale, release, stretch. Good. And up. Exhale. Other side. Good. This time we're holding right hand down, left arm over. I want you to think about it. Draw the low ribs down, but keep the chest lifted. And then imagine that you're stirring a pot with your ribs. You're leaning toward the right, but you're rolling those ribs around. Yeah. Good. Go the other way. I just sounded like Betty's son. Yeah. Roll it out. And pause. Good. Take that arm up. Reach the right arm up. Take the left hand down. Go to the left. Pause here. Think about it. Soften that head, that neck, and then circle your ribs any amount that you can, any way that you can, even if it's just a small move. Circle the other way. Breathe. And hold the pose. Press all the way up. Take the arms out to the sides, twist to your right. Left hand comes to your knee. Your right hand comes behind, coming into a twist. Once again, maybe feel the ribs, right? Feel the torso. Draw the low ribs in so you're not overarching your back. Find your breath. And then inhale the arms up. Take them out to the sides. Twist everything to the left. Coming back into a twist on this side. Big deep breath, everyone. And release it. Good. Hopefully we're a bit warmed up now. I want you to come on off of your lovely blanket. Now this one's going to be a little bit tricky. You're going to come to all fours, table pose. But before you do that, get your blanket roll nice and tight, right? And then you're going to place it around your right ankle. Flip your toes under just to kind of, as if you could wrap it around your ankle. Mostly, I just want it to the best of your ability for it to stay there. If when we do these couple of things, it slips off, don't worry about it. All it's doing is adding a little bit of weight. If you have a towel and not a blanket, maybe make that towel longer so you get some of the feedback instead of a shorter roll. And then come to table pose. Best you can, stretch your right leg out. That blanket is over your right ankle. Squeeze the belly in, tone those ribs in. I was watching another teacher and he said to knit those ribs into the body. And I love that description. And then lift and lower your right leg. Stay focused. Don't go into your lower back. Squeeze the belly, knit the low ribs in, and just lift and lower one leg. And marvel that a blanket that can't weigh very much can make all the difference. But not only is it the weight, but it is also that it's giving us information about keeping our leg in alignment, right? Toes down. Good, breathe. Last one, this one, hold. Squeeze the belly in, maybe point your toes. Reach the left arm out, balancing table. Find your breath. If this is too much, take the blanket off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your arm and release your knee. And switch sides. You don't have to kind of tuck it, but it does help to hold it in place until we get it out and extend it. So take your time when you're ready. The blanket is around your left ankle. What are we doing? We're knitting those ribs in, right? We're toning the belly in. Our wrists are comfortable. By the way, if your wrists are hurting, you can come to soft fists here, right? Just make sure the wrists are straight. When you're ready, let's go. Lift up, squeeze, don't drop the belly. And 2, lift. 3, squeeze up. And 4. 5, I can't remember how many we did on that side, so we'll do 5 more. 3, I don't think I really counted on the other side. 2. And 1, hold, tuck that belly, everybody. When you're ready, reach the right arm. Oh, yeah. Find that pose, right? That because the blanket is way down at the ankle, it feels heavier than if it were, say, up at your upper thigh, right? Breathe, squeeze in and release. Whew, and release. And just shake it out. Oh, there you go. Roll it out, everybody. Shake it out. And then set the blanket aside just for, actually, don't do that. You're already on your hands and knees. Put it back in a roll and just set it anywhere on your mat. And then use that to press up to standing. Come all the way up. Bend your knees and come to standing. Shake it out. So this is one I have done regularly in my live classes, and I love it. We're going to work on forward folding, and we're going to do it several different ways. So start by grabbing your blanket and stick it, or your towel, and stick it right at the hip crease, right? So that when you bend, you're going to hang on to that blanket and come into a forward fold. If your hands don't easily reach the floor, you can grab your blocks, but just feel that blanket roll. Reaching in there, the belly rolls over the blanket, and we're creating a little bit of space here so that you can feel your sit bones draw back, right? Keep the knees soft for starters, especially one of you I know that's got some tight hamstrings way up at the attachments. If you bend the knees, broaden the sit bones, right? Lift up. You may feel more of a stretch, but a more targeted stretch. So just kind of notice that as your belly, as your body allows, maybe straighten the legs. Keep the back of the knee soft. Stretch out your back, maybe walk the fingertips forward so that the spine gets nice and long. Tone through the lower belly, soften the ribs in, even here. And just notice. If your back is okay, your lower back, maybe you let those hands go, grab opposite elbows. You let the blanket be your support, little tiny bend in the knees. Breathe. Good. Release those hands to the floor. Bend your knees a bunch. Take the blanket out and set it on the floor pretty much right in front of you. And then hands to knees and come all the way up. Always take a moment. So we're doing 3 forward folds in a row. Take a moment to kind of get your equilibrium back. So carefully, I want you to step in front of your blanket so that the heels of your feet are on the blanket, but the ball mounds and the toes are off your blanket. If you feel unsteady here, maybe you can come near a wall, or maybe you go less of the blanket so more of your feet are on the floor, okay? And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees and come on down. So forward fold number 2. This one you should find pretty easy. You're already headed in that direction, right? If you didn't have your hands on the floor, you could tip forward, but you're giving yourself a lot more space here with the back legs supported. So I want you to play a little bit. I want you to wiggle your hips and check out the forward fold. Spread out your toes, all that good stuff, and breathe. Start to broaden through the shoulders. Notice your breath. Let the head hang. Simple forward fold here. Feel the stretch on those hamstrings, right? Maybe you're getting a little bit of a stretch elsewhere as well, maybe into the calves, right? And then bend your knees and push the heels very strong into the blanket. One hand to one knee, one hand to the other. Squeeze the belly, lift the chest, and come on up. Good. Probably the easiest way might be to just step off and then step behind your blanket. This time I want toes and ball mounds on the blanket, but heels off. This is going to change things, right? We're flexing the front of the legs. So it's like we're creating a little more distance away from the floor. Same thing, big deep hinge of your hips. Start to come down. Keep the backs of the knees soft. Lengthen through your torso. Woo, yeah, and hands to the floor. And feel your calf muscles. Feel the Achilles, right? Maybe behind the knees. Knees should be soft. Feel the length of the hamstrings. They go from your knees to your sit bones, right? So feel those babies. And then press your big toe mounds into the blanket. You're going to feel a difference there as you level out the feet. Oh, yeah, just breathe. Maybe you walk the hands forward a little bit. You're going to deepen that stretch. Be mindful. Press the big toes, all four corners of the feet, pressing down. Find your breath. Walk the hands back if you have walked them forward. I want you to step off the blanket. Bend your knees and come on up. Oh, good. Roll it out, everybody. And then just for fun, if you can do one more, just come into a regular forward fold and feel the difference maybe in your forward fold. It's like, woo-wee, lots and lots more space there. Bend your knees, come on up. Good. Take a moment here to get your equilibrium. The blanket's going to be about center of your mat and then come to the front of your mat. And just find a nice little mountain pose to start. When you're ready, inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Carefully bend your knees, step over your blanket with your right leg, and then lower your right leg or your right knee to the blanket. You may have to adjust either the blanket or your torso. You can have your blocks under your hands if you like. So with the blanket under your knee, one, it gives you cushion. Two, because you are higher up, even by that little bit, it's going to create more stretch. So once again, be mindful, hands to blocks if you've got your blocks. If you don't, your hands are at the floor or they're at your knee, no big deal. And then feel your stretch here. On your exhale, straighten the leg, straighten the front leg and stretch back. Good. On your inhale, bend and lift. On the exhale, stretch. One more here. Breathe, lift up. And exhale, press back. Good. Listen up. One more here. So, got your hands on your blocks. Lift your knee off the floor if you can. One, you're here and you're going to tap down. Hands are supported on your blocks, okay? You're going to lift and tap down. Two, if you're feeling strong today, feeling a little spunky today, take your hands to your left knee and tap down and lift up. Good, nice control. There you go. Two, we're doing 5 and 3. Big deep breath. 4 and 5. Well done, everybody. Knee back down, hands back to your blocks if you have them. I just want you to switch. So bring your left knee back, bring your right knee forward. I'm just going to scoot this blanket back a little bit. Whew. And find your stretch. This is just lovely. It's lovely, I tell you. Just breathe. Feel the stretch in the hip. Right, tone through the belly. Don't let the low ribs overarch. Just stretch it out. All right, here we go. So front leg straightens, breathe. Exhale as you curl into the body. And inhale as you come back forward and lift. 2 more. Stretch it back and forward. Good. Last one. Stretch back and forward. And then again, your choice, right? Flip your toes under. You're either going to lift with the hands supported by your blocks, or you're coming into a high lunge. Thank you all. And lowering for 5. 1. Either way. 2. 3. And 4. Yeehaw. And 5. Whew. Good. Lower down. Hands come back to your blocks or the floor. Stretch back. Take those knees to your blankets. Find your breath. And when you're ready, left foot forward and breathe. Good. Last little set here. You're going to lift to a high lunge and straighten your front leg. Now, that is optional, right? This variation of pyramid, you can still keep your knee down and straighten your front leg. So, whichever makes the most sense for you. But feel this, right? The left hip rolls back. The back toes are as forward as they can be. Press into the big toe mound of your front foot. Keep the front knee soft, but relatively straight, depending on your hamstrings. Find your breath. Good. 4, 5. Bend both knees, tap. Lift both and straighten. Chest toward your front leg. Exhale down. Inhale, straighten, chest and torso lengthen. Good. And 3, go slow. Watch that upper back. Don't round up. Keep it tall. Good. We got 2 more. Bend. Exhale, squeeze it back. Good. Last one. This one we hold. So front leg straight, back leg relatively straight. Your hands are either on your blocks or they're on the floor. The torso gets long over your front leg. We find our breath. Say hello to your hamstrings. Big deep breath, everyone. That's it. And then bend your both knees. Whew. Slide your left leg back. Yep. Slide your right leg forward. Your hands go to your blocks. You're back in a lunge. Flip your toes under. Go to high lunge. That's get your spacing. And then straighten your front leg. Once again, that front hip rolls back, right? It's not that it rolls back so much, but it rolls back so that the sacrum gets aligned, the hips get aligned, all that stuff. Press through your back leg. Feel how that makes a difference. Here we go, 4, 5. It's slow, okay? So bend both knees, tap down, and lift up. Good, tap down. Lift up. Tap it down. Lift the chest. When you lift and straighten, maybe that chest gets long and down. Lift up. Last one. Tap it down. Lift it up. Hold here. Press through the big toe mound. Your front leg from your big toe to your inner groin, right? That's the line we're looking for. Reach through it, tone the belly, lengthen the chest over your thigh. Maybe even scissor the legs toward each other isometrically. Oh, yeah. And then bend your knees. Oh, slide your right knee back. You're back to table pose. Listen up. Take your knees off your blanket. Slide your blanket forward a little so that when you come to your belly, the blanket is over your hips, over your hip bones. Good. Come on down, all the way down. Your upper body is relaxed. You're pressing those hip points into your blanket, right? Lift your right leg. Whew. Lift, hold. Don't lose touch with your blanket. And then pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And lower down. Reach the other leg, lift, keep the hip point to the blanket and lift. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. Good. This time I want you to raise your right leg just a few inches, bend your knee. So what did we just do earlier, right? We did tons and tons of hamstring stretches. So here we are now contracting the hamstring, the back of the leg, giving our body that balance that it needs. So bring the heel in and then just to 90. Squeeze it in. 90, squeeze. Yep. And 4 and 5 and release. Other side, lift your left, bend the knee, squeeze it in toward the glutes, and then release for 4, squeeze, and 3, squeeze, and 2, you got it. Last one, squeeze it, and release. Nice job. And then while we're here, let's come up on elbows, Sphinx pose. This is a sweet way to do any back bend, right? If you're prone, if you're belly down, this is a great way to play with your back bends. So squeeze in through your belly. Draw the low ribs in. Press the legs long. And breathe and just feel that, right? This should feel pretty sweet. Gives us, I always think of these props as like training wheels. It's like, okay, now that I'm here and I have something to play with, what can I do to make that move feel good, right? What needs to happen in my body? And then softly interlace your hands. Make sure the elbows or your shoulders width apart. I want you to press your belly strong, press into your knees, come to half plank. Woo, yeah. 1, you're here. 2, toes flip under, knees lift. Sneaky little booger, right? Brought you right back to core. Press into the forearms, press into the hands. Make sure you're not overly tensing your head, your neck. Knit the ribs in. Yep, bring them away from the floor. Find your pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your knees. Listen up. Just walk your hands back. Come to child's pose. Maybe your blanket is in such a place that your forehead rests on your blanket. Sweet, sweet way to rest. That was probably too big a sigh. Tells you how I'm feeling right now. Just breathe. All right. And as you're ready, you are going to come to standing. So maybe you do it in a beautiful way. Plant the hands, table pose to downward facing dog. And then walk the hands back to your feet. Open up the shoulders, tone the belly, bend your knees, and come all the way up. And exhale. Good. Roll out your shoulders. So the blanket is amazing for so many things. We're going to do a couple different things with it. So I want you to start again. It's still in that blanket roll and have it almost to the top end of your mat, but there should be room at the front of your mat for your hands. Okay. So when we do downward facing dog and we support the wrists, it can make all the difference. That's where this blanket is going to come in. So step Stand so that you're right behind the blanket. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down so that the hands come in front of your blanket. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then step back to downward facing dog. Lower lower the knees for a second and walk your hands back so that the back of your wrists are touching your blanket, not on it, just touching it. Plant the fingers, all those things you know, come back to down dog. Ideally, you are feeling the blanket at the wrists and the lower forearms. Really press the fingers in, soften your knees. If you're not feeling it, lengthen your pose and notice and breathe. Keep reaching through, but keep the shoulders wide. Keep the upper body or the upper shoulders up externally rotated. Find your breath. Inhale, exhale, lower your knees. Maybe reach back in child's pose, maybe puppy stretch. And breathe. Good. Come up, and here's where it gets to be interesting. I want you to turn yourself around. Do the hokey pokey, right? Your feet, the ball mounds of your feet are close to the blanket. Your hands are where they always are for downward facing dog. If you're always feeling your shoulders, by the way, in down dog, go wider. Not super wide, but go a little wider and see if that makes a difference. And then knit the ribs in, right? So feel that little belly crunch. When you're ready, down dog. This time, you're down dog. The heels rest on your blanket. This is one of my favorite ways to play with down dog and to open up the upper body, right? So here we are, we're elevated a little bit, but yet we're grounded and supported. So now we can broaden through the sit bones. Now we can feel the legs work. Breathe. Now we can move the chest toward the thighs and knit the ribs in, right? Ooh, there we go. Now try to lift your ball mounds off the floor. You're not really gonna lift them, right? But just try. Find your breath, press into your hands. Notice. Inhale, tippy toes. Whew. Lower your knees and find either child's pose or hero pose or something where you can breathe. Shake it out. If your wrists are chatty, shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. And just take a moment here to find your breath. It is a really interesting thing to me to play with a prop like a blanket. It's soft enough and yet firm enough to give us, again, that body feedback that we're hoping for or looking for. All right. So here we go, my loves. Face your blanket. Have you named it yet? Like, has it become a favorite object? Your hands go in front of your blankets. Breathe. When you're ready, right leg presses back. Squeeze the belly in. Reach your left arm. Balancing table. We are right back to the beginning, right? So why is that? I want you to squeeze your belly. Knit the ribs in. Reach through your arm and your leg. Lower your right hand. Might be a little tricky. I want you to go wide and step over your blanket. Yep. Find your low lunge. Have your blocks. Maybe that would be really nice, really helpful. Lift your knee, your high lunge. Go to variation of pyramid pose. Find your breath. Front leg is straight, back leg is relatively straight. The legs scissor toward each other, but your big toe to your inner groin reaches long. Find your breath. That's it. Good. Step, watch your blocks, low or medium. Please make sure they're not going to tip. Step back, downward facing dog. When the blocks are higher, they are tippier. Come to plank. Make sure you are straight up, straight down on those blocks. Otherwise, take them out. Breathe, tuck the belly, knit the ribs in, squeeze the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your knees, release your toes, stretch back, and breathe. From child's pose, you are coming right back up. The hands come back to your, they maybe could stay on blocks, but take them back to the mat. Reach your left leg out. Knit the ribs in, knit the ribs toward the hips. Lift your left leg. Let's find balancing table on this side. Reach the right arm. Good core work, everybody. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Keep reaching, limbs away from each other, yet stability, right? Let's squeeze them in at the same time. Release your hands. Good. Take the left leg wide and step over your mat or over your blanket. Your hands go to your blocks. We find our breath. When you're ready, from this low lunge to a high lunge, if you can, remember, knee down is always, 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 always an option. And straighten front leg. Lengthen the torso. Make sure you're not hyperextending that front knee. Breathe. You got this. Be mindful of your blocks. Press into your blocks. Step back. Down dog. To plank. Breathe. If your blocks are on that medium setting, just be mindful. Notice the ribs. Squeeze them in, everybody. Squeeze them in, right? As if you could draw that bottom rib toward your pelvis. Woo! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower those knees. Holy moly. Set your blocks aside and have a seat. Now, if you can, so you can go to child's pose, you can go to any seated pose. If you can, I want you to take this blanket roll and put it right behind your knees. I know there's some of you that are not going to be able to do this. And then you're going to sit down on the blanket. Let me tell you, let me turn to face the camera. Chances are you are going to feel some significant sensation here. What are we doing? We're taking those calf muscles and mushing them, right? We're just mushing them down. It is like a super deep neuromuscular massage. We are creating space with this blanket. I know this can be tender. If it's too much, lean forward, take the pressure off. Okay. If it is just like holy moly sensation, see if you can stay for just a little bit. This is very, very helpful in creating space and helping with knees and ankles. Calf muscles can get really tight and really rigid in us. Just breathe. Oh, sing, dance, go to your happy place. Good. We got a few more breaths here. Come out anytime, by the way. Just breathe. Good. One more big deep breath. And then very happily, I am sure, release. Just set your blanket aside. We're going to come back up to standing. But I want you to come to down dog and just maybe feel the difference. Breathe. And walk your hands back. Bend your knees. Come on up. Exhale it. Roll it out. Shake it out. Whew. All right. Who knew you could do so many things with your blanket? So, blanket roll, simple here. I want you to come to mountain pose with that blanket as high up the groin and as far down. If it is just a towel, then knees from the knees up. Okay. And then give that blanket a squeeze. Check the feet, they're parallel. Maybe lift all your toes off the floor. Stand tall and notice that as we engage the inner line of the legs, what happens to the spine? It's like, oh, right? It feels so tall. Good. Lower just your big toes. You can look. Spread the rest of the toes. Plant the rest of your toes. And just hold here in mountain pose. Just feel the physical contact of your blanket or your towel between the legs. Yeah. Maybe walk your feet in closer if you can and see how that changes things, right? Does that feel better? Does that feel worse? What's happened? Breathe. Squeeze. And release. Hold your blanket. All right, balance work. So hold your blanket, right? It's such a nice blanket. All right. You might want to be near a wall. So we're going to take the blanket around our left foot. And we're going to do similar to what we did when we were doing a balancing table with the blanket, right? Just kind of snug it around your ankle, mostly so it'll just kind of stay there for the moment. And then nice big toe, and I've got a wall here in case I need it. Take your hands to your hips, knit in, right? Engage your core, stand strong in your right leg, and lift, bend your right or left knee, and lift the foot. So you're hanging on to that doggone blanket, right? Woo, good. I want you to tap down. You don't have to all the way tap and lift up. 2 and 3. Yep. And 4. Whew. And 5. Whew. 6. I keep going. Woo. 7. Come on. 8. 9. And 10. Oh, lower down. That's a good one. That's a good one. You know what's happening next. We got to switch sides. So you're taking it around your right foot. You're standing tall. Maybe there's a wall nearby just to help with that support. Hands come to hips and imagine the blanket between the thighs, right? That strong, solid, tall mountain pose. And when you're ready, lift up. We got 10. There's 9. Squeeze your belly. 8, 7, 6, 5, slow. 4, Woo. 3 and 2 and 1. Oh yeah, and let it go. Shake it out. Roll it out. So I was watching Betty over there. She was doing the harder version, which we're doing next. So that's right. So she's got to pass if she wants it. Wrap it back around your left foot. Stand up tall. Hands are to your hips. Listen up. Press into your standing leg. Squeeze that hip in. Lift and bend the knee. Breathe. 1, you're here. Hold just right here. The arms can go up. Balance work. Or hands to hips. Straighten the leg and bend it. Straighten. That's 3. We're only doing 5. 4. Whoo. 5. See if you can hold that. Breathe. Stand tall. And lower down. Oh, right? That simple little weight. You bring it down to here. It gets heavy. It's the weirdest thing. All right. Last one. Other side. Wrap it around your right ankle. Make a little papoose for it. Stand tall. Squeeze in through your standing leg. Your hands are to your hips. Lift, bend your knee and lift. Find your stability. Find your still point. Either stay here or straighten and bend for 2, 3. I wish I could see your faces right now. 4 and 5. See if you can hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let go. Wow. Set your blanket down. Maybe a forward fold. Let your head hang. Step back to downward facing dog. Find your breath. Bend the knees to the floor and come to a seat. So you're going to take your lovely little blanket. You're going to take it out of its roll so it's back to its original shape. If you have a towel, it may not be long enough. I'll show you with the blanket first. So open it even wider so it's as wide as your blanket will be, and then just fold that in half. So kind of looks like that. I want you to take it behind you, and even that's not quite long enough, maybe for some. So take it behind you and tuck one end under one hip, inner thigh, and one into the other thigh. If that blanket doesn't even come close, maybe you open it wider, or maybe that's as wide as it'll go. If that's the case, don't worry about it coming behind you. Instead, just wrap it, let's see, under and in. See if that will work. Trying to get those thighs feeling supported, even outside can work, okay? So sorry, some of the blankets probably just won't be long enough. And if you have a towel, it won't be long enough. So tuck it in best you can, just the best you can. Don't worry about it otherwise. And imagine, right, those hips just feeling snuggled in as best you can. And just pause here for a second. So anytime we bind or we wrap, like with a strap, blanket, it creates a sense of stability and often security. And so using blankets for that purpose can really, really be nice. So just feel your body. Just find your breath. Some of you are going to stay here. Some of you are going to start to walk your hands forward. Some of you will have the ability with your hips and your back to come on down, chest toward floor. Wherever you are, come up. If your legs are crossed, if they're straight, you're going to come back to where you were. If they're crossed, I want you to cross them the other way. As I've often said, we are creatures of habit. So I always sit the same way. This way, for me, different leg in front is different. And I have to do this regularly for it not to feel really odd, like just to try to find balance again. So if you can, different leg up front, walk forward again. You can be on elbows, by the way, you can be on hands. You don't have to come all the way down. Just notice. In yin yoga, one of the key words that I learned in my yin training was sensation. And learning to trust sensation as a place of inquiry versus pain, which is not a place of inquiry. That is a place that your body is telling you to move away from, to get out of. And so as I sit with my other leg forward, I notice sensation, which allows me to stay and inquire. Is this good? Is this bad? Why is this tight compared to my other side? And I can just breathe here. If it were pain, I wouldn't stay. So same for you. Just breathe. If the blanket doesn't stay, don't worry about the blanket. Good. Come on up from wherever you are. Undo your blanket. And just set it aside for the moment. I want you to come, actually, take that long blanket and we'll put it in place now. So I want you to sit where you will lay down eventually. So maybe you take your legs out in front of you and put the blanket right at the sit bones, right at the thighs there. Okay. And just leave it there for now. And then come on down to your backs. Knees are bent. Feet are on the floor. Take the arms out to cactus pose. Just notice. And then without using your hands, bring your left knee to your chest. Don't use your hands. Keep your upper body soft. Keep your jaw relaxed. You know who you are. Take the left leg straight up to the ceiling. Breathe. Take the left leg out to the left side as your right knee goes out to the right side. No hands if you can. If this is torture or really, really challenging, just support your leg. Okay, so again, nothing is an absolute here. Take it up and across, cross your thighs. Breathe, maybe point your toes. Take the left leg back up. Good, point your toes, tap down to the floor. Tap back up, flex your foot. One more here, point all the way, all the way, all the way, and flex all the way up. Bend your knee on purpose and put that foot back to the floor. Good. Bring your right knee to your chest. Straighten it up to the ceiling. Take the right leg out to the right. The left knee goes out to the left. Breathe. The low ribs are knitting down. Cross your thighs. Pause. Maybe point your toes. Notice how that changes your stretch. Bring the right leg back up. Point your toes. Tap it down. Just barely touch. And then press it up with a flex of the foot. Point your toes and down. Flex your foot, bring it up. Very much on purpose, bend your knee and then lower your foot to the floor. Bring both knees toward your chest or roughly 90 degrees. Allow one knee and then the other to go to your left. Your arms are still in cactus. We're still stretching out through that side body. Maybe your left hand goes to the top of your knees, maybe not. Maybe your left hand does a soft fist between your knees, right? Because there's a little space there that you want to fill in. Maybe no hand at all. Breathe. Relax your face. Take your right knee or your top knee up. Take your bottom knee up. You're back to 90 degrees. Lower the knees slowly, one or both at the same time. I'm too close to the wall. Come into a twist on this side. Deep breath, everyone. Just enjoy the twist, right? Where do you feel it? Can you notice a difference from all the work we've been doing? Can you be here now in this space without already thinking of what's next? Good. Release the knees back to center. Your feet are back to the floor. Listen up. You're going to grab one end of your blanket, wrap it around one thigh, and bring it to the inside. And then you're going to grab your other end of your blanket, and you're going to, so I'm a little off here. And it might be easier if you're seated, you're going to squeeze one in. And then the legs are close together. You're going to squeeze the other blanket in. You're making a little burrito for your legs. And then you're going to lay back down and breathe. And then let the legs go. And find Shavasana. I don't think I ever said find Shavasana. If the blanket, if you're not really feeling the blanket, your other option is to take the blanket to the top of the legs and tuck under that way. What I'm hoping for is this sense that your legs are contained. And I realize coming from the outside might not quite do that. Yeah, that is much better. So maybe put that blanket on the top of your thighs and then tuck under and around so that you really feel like the legs are contained. And then you really just let go. In my recent newsletter, I sent out a poem, and I don't have it memorized, but the last stanza in the poem was simply that I became transformed when I stopped worrying about what others thought of me and started wondering what I could do to change the world. And imagine the freedom attached to not worrying what others think, of truly letting go. And as we do that, finding the universe opening up to all possibility. Feel your belly, feel your breath. Allow yourself to truly be in this moment. Feel the sweet gift of joy move through your body for no particular reason. Let go of tension. And as you're ready, if you're ready, start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Draw your knees ever so slowly to your chest. Give yourself a giant hug for being here today. Slowly roll to one side or the other, curling over in seedling pose or fetal pose. Same pose. And then very slowly press all the way back up to your seated pose.